Hello there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the channel. I am the Reverend Dr. Thaeda Franz, and today I want to talk about something that comes up consistently in my work with women who are on a spiritual path. Why does surrender feel so terrifying? You hear spiritual teachers say, let go and let God, or trust the divine, and something in your body just recoils. Your thoughts speed up, you feel this urgent need to do something. And then you wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just trust? Here's what I want you to know. There's nothing wrong with you. And that resistance you're feeling is not resistance at all. It's protection. Before I go on, if these kind of conversations align for you, go ahead and subscribe to the channel or share the link with someone who you know might benefit from this kind of information. Doing either or both helps this work reach who it's intended for. So thanks. Okay, so let's start here. You're walking around with a brain that's essentially 250,000 years old and hasn't received much of an upgrade. That ancient brain has one primary job: scan for danger. It's constantly asking, what could hurt us? Where's the threat? What could go wrong? And this made perfect sense when physical survival depended on spotting the predator in the grass, but that same wiring is running today, treating uncertainty like it's life or death. So when someone tells you to surrender, to let go control, let yourself go, your nervous system hears danger, because to your ancient brain, surrender sounds like free fall. It sounds like the moment before impact. So no wonder your parts double down. Here's what most spiritual teachings get wrong. They treat the parts of you that plan and worry and control as obstacles to overcome, like they're problems that need fixing. But these parts didn't develop because you're broken or faithless. They developed because at some point in your life, they saved you. Maybe you learned early on that you couldn't count on others to show up. So a part of you said, I'll handle it. I'll make sure we're okay. That part became the manager, running scenarios in your brain at 3 a.m., planning 5 steps ahead. Or maybe you experienced chaos or trauma, and a part of you built walls, created systems, established routines. If I can control enough variables, that part reasons, we'll finally be safe. These aren't villains in your spiritual story. They're loyal protectors who have been working overtime, often for decades, trying to keep you from ever being hurt, abandoned, or overwhelmed again. The problem isn't that they exist. The problem is that they are exhausted, and so are you. So how do we help these parts relax? How do we move towards surrender without our nervous system going into panic mode? Here's what I've learned in my years of doing this work. Parts don't soften because you've convinced them with evidence. They soften because you've shown up for them with compassion. Think about it in human terms. When you're terrified, what actually helps? Is it someone presenting you with data and logical arguments about why you shouldn't be afraid? Or here's a real winner. How about when someone says, you just need to calm down? That's helpful, right? Or is it someone sitting beside you, holding your hand, saying, I'm here. You're not alone in this. Your parts are no different. The protective part of you that's been scanning danger for decades doesn't need proof that the divine is trustworthy. It needs to experience you as being trustworthy. It needs to know that you won't abandon it, judge it, or try to force it into submission. It needs relationship. So before you can ask the divine to show you anything, you need to meet the part of yourself that's been holding everything together. So take a breath right now. And ask yourself, what part of me feels most afraid of letting go? Don't rush past this. Actually listen. You might notice tension in your shoulders. That's the part that carries the weight of everything. You might feel a knot in your stomach. That's the part that worries about what could go wrong. You might hear a voice that says, but if I stop managing everything, it will all fall apart. That voice, that sensation, that tension, that's not you being difficult. That's a part of you that's been working so hard for so long that it does not know how to rest. Try something radical. Instead of arguing with this part, thank it. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. Thank you for all of the years that you've carried this burden. I see how hard you've been working. Notice what happens when you offer appreciation instead of judgment or criticism. Often these parts just need to be seen and appreciated. Once you've made contact with this protected part, you can ask it gently, what are you afraid would happen if I surrendered? And listen, really listen. Your part might say, everything will fall apart, or I'll lose myself completely, or no one will be there to catch us. Those fears aren't irrational. Somewhere in your history, something happened that made these concerns feel absolutely true. Maybe you were abandoned. Maybe things did fall apart when you couldn't hold them together. Your protective part isn't afraid of some abstract spiritual concept. It's afraid of a specific pain it has already lived through, and it's determined to never let that happen again. This is where the real transformation begins. Not improving your parts wrong, but in being with them, in offering them the relationship they've been longing for all along. So here's your invitation. You don't have to force yourself to surrender. You don't have to convince your protected parts to let go. You just have to show up for them. Be curious about them. Offer them your presence, your compassion, your companionship. Because surrender doesn't start with letting go. It starts with showing up for the parts that have been holding on. And once your parts feel truly seen, truly heard, truly companioned, they just might be willing to discover what happens when you ask. If this work is calling to you, I'm teaching a 4-week class called Show Me, Discovering What Happens When You Ask. We'll be diving deep into parts work and learning to build genuine trust with the divine. You can find all the details on my website at drthaedafranz.com. Until next time, be gentle with yourselves and with all of the parts of you. Grace and peace.